My friends, it's day 719 of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and according to CNN, the terrorist Russian regime recruited approximately 15,000 Nepalese to fight in Ukraine. One of the myths incessantly disseminated by degenerates and Zidophiles says that Russia is so mighty and powerful, so it never required any help from any other country, like Iran or North Korea, to fight the war in Ukraine. And of course, because they have more than enough men to wipe Ukraine off the face of the earth, they never used foreign mercenaries, like this gentleman here from Sierra Leone who was captured last week in Marinka. The Foreign Ministry of Nepal addressed the Russian ministry to tell them the number of mercenaries involved in the invasion of Ukraine, but because we're talking about a terrorist organization called Russia, it makes absolutely no sense. And speaking of mercenaries, you know this Russian habit of bringing war criminals to the Russian schools to teach the kids of being Russian supremacists, despise other nations, and things like that. Recently, a bunch of Wagnerites visited the Russian school in Buryatia. The young students proudly posed for a group photo holding a Wagnerite flag, saying, "Nothing personal, we were paid." All you wanted to know about the terror Russian morale, spirit, patriotism, Ruski Mir and all that shit, it's right here on this photo with a bunch of criminals raising a bunch of mercenaries. And here's the cherry on the cake. Private military companies are still illegal according to the current Russian legislation, and being a mercenary in Russia considered a heavy crime. Probably that's why Putin, also known as Huilo, killed Prigozhin. Kirkin would freaking laugh at it, but he's in jail, and the jail is such a place, you know, where every Russian hero of today will wake up tomorrow. Last week, in his failed interview to the pro-Russian propagandist Tucker Carlson, Putin attempted to explain why he invaded Ukraine based on history of dark ages. I'm sure everyone who watched this cringe, including Zidophiles and other supporters of the Russian terrorism, have skipped this part of the interview because it was extremely boring and ridiculous. However, some found it exciting and even inspiring. For example, the former president of Mongolia, who published a map of the former Mongol Empire that also included the Russian territory, and said, "Don't worry guys, we are a peaceful nation, we are not gonna invade." The Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan stated in his recent interview that Armenia was never a Russian ally in its invasion of Ukraine. Of course, he didn't answer whether Armenia arrests Putin if he visits country, because, as we know, Armenia recently became a member of the International Crime Court, which issued an arrest warrant for Putin. But of course, nobody will arrest Putin, neither in Armenia, nor in France or Germany. If the dude is listening to me now, I can bet $10 it will never happen, so he can just come over and have a cheeseburger in Frankfurt or Paris. There's absolutely nothing to fear. The Ukrainian foreign minister Kuleba got bitten by a dog while walking his own pooch in Kyiv. The minister feels fine. The dog that attacked Mr. Kuleba was already identified. Not sure if it's the right picture of the attacker, but for some reason its mug looks familiar. Anyways, my friends, with that I wish you all a beautiful day. I'm Operator Starsky. As always, be safe.